The Loser sounds like the perfect theme for the story of how I lost our son. See, I've always been a perceptive person growing up. I spent too much time being a loner and having social anxiety disorder. It was so bad that when I was a teenager, I used to stay at home during break and would leave late just to avoid having to speak with my classmates. Every time I spoke with people, I would replay the events in my head, what I should have said, what I should have done. Now that person probably thought I was a creep now. My parents tried to take me to psychiatrists, give me drugs. They tried everything they thought of, but none of that worked. That is until I started playing GTA Vice City. It was amazing. I could make all the mistakes I wanted, and I would have a second chance. Soon, I was not laying up on my bed at night, thinking about that guy by the pool I tried to talk to. Instead, I was thinking of a new cheat codes I could use. After this, I started feeling so much better with my anxiety that I could sit with people and speak a bit. I usually tell people it was games that saved me and got me my wife. I could talk with people now, but only about video games. And when I got home, I had to play video games to clear my head of the events of the day. So I played video games every day for at least 6 hours. My wife didn't like that. We would argue about it for hours, and I would again have to play video games to calm myself down and start thinking rationally. I didn't realize how bad it had gotten till my wife told me that she was going to be taking our 3-year-old son with, and she was going to leave. She wanted me to start eating healthy, go to the gym, and start looking for a job. And so, I did. I don't remember much about that day, but I think it's probably because it went the typical way. I woke up, ate breakfast with my wife, and had a lengthy talk with my aunt on the phone, who is constantly calling me. I've been closer to her than my dad and mom. My dad especially, but she is his sister. After that, my wife left with Todd, our son, taking him to daycare. What I do remember is putting on baggy pants and one of my favorite shirts because I didn't have sweat clothes for gym. Then, I headed out to get Todd from daycare. After picking him up, I decided to go to the gym with him. A terrible mistake. When I got to the gym, it was as bad as I thought it would be. Big, sweaty, smelly men were lifting their weights and the metal was clanking all around. I'm not sure why, but the lights were dimmed and you couldn't make out a lot of people. But one son of a beast stuck out to me immediately. The receptionist. He was a really ugly, balding something sucker. And I knew it was odd that he was there, wearing a name tag written Sarah. He noticed me looking and quickly explained that he was holding place for someone else. But his eyes kept darting to the door and he was fidgeting. I wish I could say that dog gave me creeps, that there was something strange about his dog eyes, but I just didn't think much of it at the time. Anyway, Todd ran to the corner where kids were playing, and Sarah told me that's where the kids played. YouTube told me I should warm up first and cool down after to see the best results. I ran on the treadmill and lifted some dumbbells. I kept going to the gym after that day, and in hindsight, I was doing it all wrong and could have avoided that week of pain if I just did it right. Anyway, when I was done and so I started on out of there, I went to the corner with the kids and they were not there. Naturally, I was surprised and I went to the receptionist. A lady was there now, fairly attractive, though I couldn't see it at the time. I asked her where the kids were, since I left my son at the play area, and she told me the gym had no play area. I ran through the gym, calling out Todd, but I couldn't see the kid. I went outside and looked around the place, and I couldn't see him at the parking lot. I went back inside and outside maybe 8 times, but he was not there. Eventually, with everyone in the gym looking at me with pity, I called my wife and let her know the news. I lost our kid. She arrived there in 10 minutes and was fuming. She asked to see the security footage, and so we looked at it. All the other kids were taken by 4 fathers. One had triplets. Todd is seen running out of the camera to someone calling him, and out the window there was a bald man that walked past. My wife and I headed out the door, intent on going to the police station, and there was Todd, looking up at us in tears. The trash had taken Todd away indeed, but Todd bit him and ran off. Other than a few scratches, he was fine. The kid was fast, and he made it all the way back to the gym by himself. Well, I lost my wife and kid for about a year, during which time I grew addicted to the gym and started selling an online course, which made me a lot of money. My wife shouldn't have taken me back. I shouldn't have let her. I am a danger to the boy. I am still a boy myself, and I want these people to have a man in their life. I know that's what I should have done, man. But when I opened my door on the Christmas of 2016, and my kid hugged my thighs, my son, Todd, man, he still hugged me. Me. And my wife was standing there, man, looking at me with that face of, please don't be angry I left you. Man, even after what I did, man, a man would have done the responsible thing and let them have someone better than him. But I'm just a boy, man. I'm sorry. The laugher. Well, a peddler followed me from the gym and tried to eat our family dog. It's a bit of a convoluted story, honestly, but basically it goes something like this. I have been living alone for a while now, and had started going to a new gym, having moved out of my family's house with Ratchet, our family's golden retriever. Anyway, I left him with a sitter and made it to the gym. I was wearing a hoodie because I hadn't washed my previous sweatshirts, and because I didn't want to be walking around in my bra, there I was, doing squats at the gym in a rain hoodie. I could feel everybody's eyes on me, and honestly, that's a lot better than them staring at my stomach. But I couldn't take the eyes for too long, so I finished earlier than usual and headed out of the gym. But then, as I was heading out the door, I bumped into someone. I tried to apologize, but then I looked into his eyes. The man had face tattoos and neck tattoos too, and seemed to be a bit scrawny to be going to the gym. But what really creeped me out was how he stared at my face so intently. I mumbled my apologies again and headed out the door. As I walked down the parking lot, I turned, and there he was, following me. I walked faster and opened my car from afar before jumping in and driving out of there as quickly as I could. I was making mental notes to never wear something so outlandish again when going to the gym, when I noticed the black car behind me. I didn't think much of it, but when I glanced up at my mirror, that's when I saw him. The guy was following me. I stepped on the gas harder, hurrying to my home. I drove faster than I ever had, trying to outrun him. For a while it would seem like he was gone, but then he would just reappear moments later. But I was getting closer to my home, and I hoped Dustin would scare him away. Dustin being my dog watcher. He was a 17-year-old, but he was extremely muscular. Maybe he would scare him away. Only as I drove into my car spot did I think of just going to the police station, but it was too late for that now. I made it back to my home and through the doors. I called Dustin everywhere, but he was not there. He'd gone somewhere. And outside the window, I saw the black car stop across the street. But my car was not blocked. So I took Ratchet and decided to do my police station idea. Except this was probably the worst idea at this point. When I walked outside with Ratchet, the door of the car opened and the man came out, fuming. I turned and hurried to my house, and by the time I was closing the door, he was close enough to put his arm between the door and the frame. I screamed and I slammed as hard as I could, and he screamed, calling me a female dog, and he pushed the door open. I fell on my back and was about to scream when Ratchet charged the man, hitting his chest and slamming him against the door, closing it. I went to pull out my phone only to find it fell out of my pocket at some point. I had to go to the kitchen to get a knife, but as I hurried up, the man told me to stop or else he'll kill Buster. I didn't know what he was talking about, but he told me to sit down and not move, or else he would kill Buster. And by now he was holding Ratchet by his head. I headed for the door, and he did the craziest thing I'd ever seen. He bit my dog's ear. When I demanded he stop that, he said he warned me and said he would eat his head if I don't sit down. I asked him who's Buster, and then he started gloating about how he found me after only a few hours and whatnot. Apparently, he was a peddler and had a partner who ran away with the money. I don't know why or how, but he didn't know where his partner lived or their family. He only knew that his partner had a sister that had a tattoo of a cactus around her stomach. When I showed him I didn't have any such thing, he was so shocked. He had been so sure that it had been me when I came in with the rain hoodie, because he thought I was trying to hide the tattoos, and he was even more sure when he saw me walking out of the house with Ratchet, because apparently his partner had a golden retriever they called Buster. Well, it was scary enough, but it did end at a bit of an anticlimactic and bizarre note. He looked rather sheepish and apologized profusely, and I had been so relieved my anger turned to non-stop laughter. He didn't look like he liked that much, but I could have called the cops on him, so he should have liked it in my opinion. Anyway, he left, and when Dustin got back, having apparently gone out to the supermarket, I told him what happened. Even he couldn't understand why I was laughing so much, since he was so apologetic and worried for me. I don't know, am I the weird one here? The closer. Well, probably the time I lost my boss's key. So I started working at a local gym when I was younger and was just an intern for most of the time. So I had to listen to the people telling me what to do. Then, when I had grown sufficiently, my boss left me with the keys to the gym. At the time, I'd been eating a lot of tacos and visiting the toilet a lot. Anyway, everybody was gone and I had to shut the place down. I cleaned up and placed everything back to its proper place and went to the toilet one last time. After I was done, I flushed and lifted my pants. I heard a clinking sound and turned to see the keys spiraling down the toilet. It was late at night, so I couldn't go get a new set of keys smithed out. Also, even if I could, that would mean I'd be leaving the place open and anyone could come in and steal something. This was the first night I'd been trusted with something so heavy. I wasn't scared, I was petrified. I did everything I could, stuck stuff down the toilet, tried the plunger, everything, but to no avail. The keys were lost. I had to stay there the whole night till morning when the others arrived and I told them what happened. I must say though, after I was fired, I don't know what I was so scared about. Honest mistake really. Now to move on with life.